Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Steve ALM, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Dina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I'm going to raise the mic on the Discord server so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Check 1, 2.
Hello.
Good morning. You had me laughing yesterday.
Morning. Was that Neil?
Yeah.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Very well, very well. No complaints?
I said you had me laughing yesterday, Nathan. You rebroadcasted the Monday show.
Okay, the Uncut and After Show on the second channel.
Yeah, and the part where I put up the organ player with the monkey and you did the song.
Here comes Thunderfoot the clown.
Yeah, well, if you go to that part, the very next picture that comes up is you with that monkey fur around your head. I go, what? Who can even do this timing of this thing?
I didn't notice.
So funny.
I've had loads of them. Some of them from haters, some of them from kind-hearted souls. But I just
I know. It's fun to make fun of yourself, but it was the timing of it all. You're going, and that picture comes up, and you're the monkey. What a laugh that was.
That is the circus song now.
What's that, Neil?
I said that is the circus song, because Chocolate X, that is the song of the circus.
Yeah. The organ player, the monkey, the street corner guy, the circus, they're all connected. The whole globe model is a circus. Yep, from their imaginary celestial sphere to their imaginary invalid, spoken as valid points to prove what they can't prove, because now they fight to say it doesn't exist, but it exists. Every argument now is why it's not there or why it's not possible to measure it or see it. It's fantastic. Tables have turned.
It doesn't help, though, the dictionary meanings of things. Because when I was looking up time is an independent variable, every one of the things I pulled up was saying, yes, it is.
Well, what'd you expect?
Yeah. Same thing with the, there's another one where if you look it up in a dictionary, I mean, it gives a baller answer.
Well, it's written by ballers, for ballers.
Natural phenomenon thing.
Right, but it's written by ballers, for ballers. It's like level is straight, but on a curved surface.
Yeah.
So they're going to change. They have to say the Earth is curved, so a curve has to be level. I mean, because we experience level, but it's curved.
I think it's more what he's trying to say is it's more related to who's in charge of the library. So if you're trying to debunk something about, say, Christianity, you go, right, I'm just going to head my way into the Vatican Library and have a snoop around. Oh, what do you know? Everything I seem to reference everything against me in this library. What a shock.
That's a good example right there. Yeah, I remember taking on the Catholic priest the minute I read the Bible for myself and saw so many things were so different. I said, here's the book that we're all supposed to follow, especially you, and you haven't even been teaching it. We got in a nice little joust, him and I.
And by the way, why must I call you father?
Yeah, exactly.
The point is, if you're trying to debunk something and you're just going to the rhetoric of cursory Joe blogs in Wikipedia, i.e. anybody can put their two pennyworth in, and as long as consensus all agree, it stays exactly as it is. Doesn't make it the way it is, but that's just the consensus view in that particular publication, and it's going to stick to whatever the narrative is. So, you know, if you're looking in those sources and the general world consensus view is sphere, most things are going to reference a sphere. That works to our advantage also. So, for example, if you start looking at the definition of a horizon, they'll all be referencing back to the same geometric horizon, i.e. the assumption that Earth has a physical sphere edge for a horizon. They'll all reference it in that manner, hence leaving our opponents in a bit of a quandary at the moment. But that aside, the point is that where they're referring to something that's being denied in the trenches, the actual documented rhetoric is that, oh, what a coincidence, it appears on screen, that we have a physical geometric horizon. And that's what it'll be defined as, because it can't not be. It's claimed to be proving Earth's a sphere, right? So that's why all the documentation backs up us saying, you need a sphere edge, it's part of your geometry, there it is marked with an X labelled horizon. They say, no, we don't see it. It's like, well, no, a horizon is defined as something you see. You must see it for it to be a horizon, and your horizons are defined as being geometric by your own rhetoric. So we're using the definition, which is pretty standard, saying Earth's a sphere and the horizon's your sphere edge.
Yeah, in fact, let's go to it. Let's go see the nonsense. I'm sending it to you, Master B. Tell me when it's up.
You know your coffee machine, Neil? When you use your coffee machine, do you... I don't know about those pod machines, but have you got the capability of running an old empty pod through the machine before you use it?
Yeah.
Do that. Run it once. Run it through a cycle once before you make your coffee.
Yeah, I usually let it run.
You run it before you put the pod in? 'Cause you said it was always too cold. Or not warm enough.
Yeah, it never comes out hot enough, but yeah, I run like hot water first.
Oh, well, that doesn't help then. Oh, well. I feel your pain. If the coffee's not right, that can really ruin your day.
I just poured a hot one right here. It's right for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's drinkable. I mean, I just like it really hot, so I just heat it up a little more.
I see. Obviously, if the machine's running hot water that's too hot through the beans, it'll scald the beans and it'll go bitter. Can't have it too hot. So to do coffee, it's a lower temperature than boiling water. That's why if you try and ask for a cup of tea in a coffee house and they use the machine that makes coffee, say nah, because it's not hot enough to make tea. So right. It's one of those.
Yeah. You see the picture I put in Master B?
Didn't, but I'll have a look. Picture with all the horizons. Here we go.
Yeah, let's go through it.
It's on screen.
All right, so here's a Muppet vision. As always, this is part of the trickery. You can see that the celestial sphere, which is imaginary, they even tell you it doesn't exist, but you have to imagine it, which is part of the trickery, is the outside larger circle. And all the stars, including the moon, sun, and everything else, that's between the Earth, the smaller circle in the middle, to the interior walls of the bigger circle, the imaginary celestial sphere, have to be pushed up against it. All the stars that are further away that you can't see here in this picture, that are outside of the great celestial sphere, which is imaginary, have to be brought to it. So every luminary is on that circle line, that outside one. So whether the stars are further or closer, they all go to that circle. Does everybody follow?
I am following along so far.
All right, I'm just trying to explain the way I've been reading it. So once you've done that and you do this little Muppet vision, that celestial horizon is basically the equinoctial. It goes with the equator line of the smaller circle, which is presupposed to be the Earth there. So they've basically done this to create all these horizons. Now, as you can see, it doesn't show a stick figure, but assume that's a person on the top of the Earth there in the middle. And his eyes would be the sensible horizon, basically. And then you've got your geoidal horizon, and then you've got the celestial horizon, and then you got the geometrical horizon, B. Now take B from the celestial sphere, the big circle, and follow the line to where it lands on the Earth, the smaller circle. And it's the edge of that 360 viewing point, as you can see. Now, we never are in this position, but this is how they show it, so we can be fooled that we live on a ball. So A, there it is. There's that geometrical horizon. It's supposed to be at the furthest edge, okay? But we never see it, right? They say we never see it. And then you see the visible horizon, which is what we all say the apparent horizon, is C. And if you follow that to A from the left side, you see how it curves, the refraction line, the dotted line?
Yeah, it's a donkey dick.
Yeah. There you go. This is your perfect geometric horizon that must be a tangent. And then there's your double D, bendy horizon, bendizontal. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horizons, and we're not even done. There's even more. There's other pictures with even more horizons they make up. But when in
Right.
reality, we only have one horizon.
Right. Excellent, thank you.
All right.
You've had this up a couple of times, but you've got more and more concise in your description. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm watching more, learning more.
Good. I didn't. The first time you showed this, I didn't recognise that it was Muppet Vision.
Yeah, that's because of you telling me what Muppet Vision was, and then everything I see is Muppet Vision. I'm going, what is the purpose of Muppet Vision?
No, what I mean by that is,
Go ahead, take over.
What I mean by that is, this is obviously orthographic view. You've got your own head at A, and then these lines are deriving which horizon based on the ball in Muppet Vision that you're looking at. However, the way the diagram's been drawn, it does actually represent almost a perspective view. So you've got the converging lines from B to A, and you've got all these different marked horizons that do actually span. Let's just bring up my screen behind, like a real horizon, from left to right or right to left on the page. So at first glance, this diagram sort of seems, well, this kind of makes sense, right? It looks like at first brush, it looks like a actual representation of what we might see if we're observing it like we're looking at the diagram. But in the diagram, you're seeing yourself at A, looking down at a horizon at either B or C. So it's a kind of deceptive diagram. Where did you get this, by the way?
I just typed in great circle and rational horizon, and I went to images.
I see. So the horizon in this depiction is represented by 2 imaginary horizons, followed by a celestial horizon, which this one's slightly confusing to me because I understood that to be also 90 degrees from your zenith, but it's certainly not marked that way in this diagram, so maybe that'll need some investigation. And then there are 2 horizons that exist, one to derive the maths for R to come up with all this bullshit, and what we actually have in reality, the visible horizon. We only have one horizon, and if we can't see the horizon at B, the geometrical horizon, then we don't have geometry to perform. That's the bottom line. But yeah, to convolute that point, we end up with all these different horizons.
Well, this was the most clearest. There's even worse ones with more lines and more titles. And what I'm finding out, and it's going to be an epic day when I put all the puzzle pieces together, because there is something here that keeps calling me back personally. My inquisitive self wants to find out, so to speak. This is the wizardry. They have to have an imaginary celestial sphere, and every luminary that you ever want to say is your zenith, right? Which is above you directly, has to go to the center of the earth. But it's coming from the celestial sphere where all the luminaries have to be put.
Yeah.
Then your sighting of the luminary, say with your sextant on the right angle, say it's 65 degrees, that also has to go to the center of the earth. And I'm saying, now what is their fascination with the center of the earth? What does it happen if it doesn't go through the center? I started asking all these questions. So then when you find out, when you start digging in, what they do is they have this thing called the Great Circle. Now, the Great Circle is only one place. It's where the celestial sphere, the imaginary outside circle where all the stars are, equinoctial, is identical to the Earth's equator in the presupposed sphere. So that's the only great circle they have. Everything else is just a smaller circle, which are really just latitude lines. But they're slices of the Earth that, if you look at it, is a plane. And then you have to twist it. Well, let me save that for another day.
No. Twist it is the main point. What you're taking is your flat plane observation of what is described as the celestial sphere and transposing that onto a ball Earth. That is the process that they've done. So the reason it all reverse engineers back into the stars, and you've got your equator value from, the averaging of the sun's path and various other things, it all ties back into it being a philosophy for the stars. So the conceptualization about us being on a sphere-shaped object to reconcile how the stars move is merely a philosophical viewpoint. But you've got to twist that into a way of working, which actually works quite well. I've always praised the heliocentric model for what it can do. It's got its problems, but by the same token, it does actually function reasonably well. It gives you a relatively decent way of conceptualizing how the stars move, so you can wrap your head around the pattern. But it's only at the point of reification that becomes a problem. At the point that you say, well, I'm actually standing on a sphere then. No, you're not standing on a sphere. Not at all. And you could take it one step back and say, well, are the stars actually in a sphere also? Is it a celestial sphere? Well, no. By your observation, it appears that way. And can you translate that into sphere Earth? Well, yeah, that's precisely what has happened. But that's the most fascinating detail. I'll leave that for another day. No, that's what they've done. They've wrapped the celestial observations around a spherical map. That's what's happened.
Well, what I wanted to leave for another day is a different aspect of what you just said, but it was fine what you just said.
Yeah, it's just, I keep saying it's a philosophical way of trying to rationalise how the stars work. That's all the heliocentric model does. Does that take away from the flat plane we dwell atop? No, of course not. We still dwell atop a flat plane, obviously and observably.
Yeah, it gets better. Let me go on. I just sent you 2 more pictures. Go ahead and put those on and feel free to jump in whenever.
We've got one.
It gets better because, yeah, it's up to you, however you want to show.
Yeah, this is a visualization of what I was just describing, right?
Oh, I'm on this, Nathan. Just give me a little more time. It's not my forte, but I'll figure it out eventually, God's help. But they say when you use the sextant that you got to imagine that the Earth is stationary and the stars are moving. And I said, well, wait a minute. Why would they? Well, wait a minute. If you're trying to prove a heliocentric model and it's true and you're not philosophizing it and just making an abstract thing, well, then why are you telling me that in usage of the sextant, I have to imagine the Earth is stationary and the stars are moving? I thought it was the other way around. So when I heard that little tidbit and started investigating that, that led to them saying that you have to treat the sky like the ancients, as a dome with all the stars inside of it moving. They are even to this day saying that's how you have to treat it. So this rabbit hole I'm on is taking me into places, and eventually I'll put what I'm saying is the whole presentation together. And but these little bits are very insightful.
Cool.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification button and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching. Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Travis, otherwise known as Plain Truth, 10th Man, and Bev Try Thinking in G+, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
And Arwin.
Hello?
That it? Just a hello from 10th Man. That's probably the worst start ever.
I said hello, good morning.
Good morning, 10th
Good
Man.
afternoon.
It's very nice to have you here, 10th Man.
Hello?
Hello, Arwin, Travis and Bev.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Mike, hey, good ball busters yesterday, right? Awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was good. Talking about time.
Mm-hmm.
About time it was good, or about time?
It was about time it was good. No, I'm only joking. That's Quantum Eraser channel. So he covered time as an independent variable yesterday on the Quantum Eraser channel. So check it out. Let's crack on. Let's do housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical...
Hello?
Hello?
He's going to get a mic check, yeah. It is working.
Hey, Bev. Good to have you.
Hey. Yeah. I don't want to say good afternoon, but...
Say good morning, good afternoon. Depends where you're from.
Yeah.
We crack on. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not even from the imaginary Muppet Vision celestial sphere.
Could I come in now with that clip that I've brought?
Of course you can.
Is that the time, or do you want to go through it? Because I don't know. Fight the Flat Earth, as you know, he's made that bet with Chemo about float glass. Well, there's a clip that I've got that I'm not so sure whether he's opened up the gates and said something that he shouldn't have done. But I mean, in the clip, he says that teaching people that level is a horizontal plane is child abuse. And that is because level being horizontal implies flat Earth.
I'm saying, personally, I believe the things that you teach your child, your autistic child, is
How do
psychological
you-
child abuse.
Like that water is level.
No, you teach your child that level is a horizontal plane, which is not true.
Yes,
And
of course
the
it is.
implication of that is that you are teaching your child the earth is flat.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that would sort of suggest that anybody who thinks that level is horizontal would be a flat earther, would they? In his mind?
Yeah, well, if you're asserting that level is not conforming to a sphere Earth that's presupposed, then yeah, I suppose by definition, or by contrast, that would make the person asserting that a flat earther, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of people that are unaware of the fact that they are actually flat earthers.
We're all flat earthers. It's just some people have
level
got to...
is actually horizontal. So, it would be up to Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, to prove that this float glass on the tin is not horizontal, wouldn't it? It would be, you know, he would in order to not pay out on the bet, he would be forced into a position of finding this curvature, would he not? Or he'd have to admit that he is in fact a flat earther.
You're messing up the terms here. So it's not that he's a flat earther, it's that he's a fundamentalist religious zealot that will literally overdub his own words on top of something that defies his fundamentalist religious zealotry.
Yeah.
But this has got to be clarified now. So Spurs entered into discussions and was challenged to prove that liquid would be completely flat and parallel, specifically. And it was then turned into a bet, which I won't labour, and then he produced a video with a description from a narrator describing how they produce enormous pieces of glass, and they float it on these canals of tin to get it perfectly flat. And the reason they do it is because it's perfectly flat, and that's the reason that's given by the narrator. Now, further to that, the person that was presented to then dubbed their own voice over the top of it, saying because it actually conforms to the shape of a curved earth, or words to that effect. So that would be Craig from YouTube channel Fight the Flat Earth. So this is where I come in and say, no, you're dealing with zealots.
Yes. But this zealot also... Sorry?
Broke up.
This zealot also says that teaching that is child abuse, which is where I initially came into this. I was just a normal, average person who happened to say level was horizontal. It doesn't rise. It can't rise. To which this is, I was forced to prove to myself that level is horizontal. I mean, it sounded ridiculous the moment I tried to, you know, imagine how you would measure a curvature, because it's just ridiculous to even contemplate it when you start thinking about it. But I mean, like, he said that, and now I think he's going to have to be forced to admit that there's no curvature there. It's all imagined in their mind.
That's a fact of the matter. So what's happened instead of that fact of the matter being laboured by demonstrable proof and evidence, utilisation in manufacturing, however you want to term it, the end result isn't that they've accepted they are incorrect. The end result is quite different. The end result is that person has overdubbed their own voice on top of the narration to say that it conforms with their religious belief. That's what's actually happened. From this point, you can only accept their zealotry. You cannot, as you put it, force them to accept that they are wrong, even in the face of everything that's demonstrated to them, proven beyond all certitude, will end up in it being described as perhaps word salad, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, they just say, no, you're wrong, with no reason to think that they need to back that up. They'll just say it level can't be horizontal because I need it to wrap around a ball. An imagined ball. But yeah, fundamentally, they will just, they'll blatantly lie. And I think it's about time people, even on their side, right? I mean, he's overstepped the mark. He shouldn't really have said that sort of a thing now, because the way I see it, all of the globe earth believers on his side will now either have to stand up behind him and say, yes, Craig, we're going to have to go along with you, and you're the man that led the charge for the curved level imagine thing. Or they're going to have to say, no, come on, Craig, pay up. You lost that bet. But then they'd be saying that they, in his mind, think that the earth is flat. It's he's put himself in a really tricky position. The way I see it.
Yeah, I agree. And for that very reason, over the last week or so, I've been telling them off. When they come here and just tell overt lies. Yesterday, it was a dude that said that a surveyor in Google Earth had acquired the R value. Just made it up.
Yeah.
And then spewed word salad for 10 minutes straight. And at the in between him spewing his word salad and then coming up with some crap about directions proving this, total word salad, I told him off. I'm not going to tolerate this. Why are we being lied to, overtly lied to? People just making stuff up.
Yeah, it's just to fit their own narrative that they've got in their heads. I mean,
Yeah.
they accuse us of being in an echo chamber, but I mean, in truth, the only way that they can believe this stuff that is obviously not true is to live in an echo chamber and hear other people saying the same thing and just think, oh, well, yeah, I'll go along with that, because if the majority of people are saying it, then I'll have to stick with them, because I don't know, it's just wrong, isn't
It's
it?
called confirmation bias.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So back in the day, I used to work in the audio industry, and one of the unregulated parts of the audio industry is domestic audio cabling. Because it's completely unregulated, you can make up any old shit you like about your cable. I once saw a claim that a cable would basically produce power if you made it long enough. That was one of their claims. It was absolutely preposterous. However, you can make up any old crap you like. And what would happen is people would come along and they'd buy this crap for a huge amount of money, and then they'd stick it on their system, and it wouldn't necessarily sound any better. Initially, they might convince themselves of such, but it wouldn't really do anything. But then they'd start searching through the internet to find somebody that's reviewed it and said it's great. Because that person's reviewed it and said it's great, it's a worthwhile investment. Now, should they come across somebody that's stating what I'm stating, it'll make no difference. You reach a point where it can't get any improvements, and if it was even longer, all you'd have to do is put a bit more power in to overcome that problem. In other words, your fancy cables aren't going to do anything. They're not going to like that, because they've just spent, let's say, £1,000 on some stupid speaker wire. So they're not going to want that. They're going to want the guy that says, this is a really worthwhile investment. So they look for their confirmation bias. So when they find somebody who's put an argument forward for gravity being a force, overcoming some obvious problem they have, and then somebody else like me says, no, here's your own rhetoric, gravity's not a force, they'll search out somebody that confirms it as the story they want. Now, sometimes in doing so, this is another example with Fight the Flat Earth, they'll come across someone like George Musa, who will not confirm their fundamentalist zealotry and tell them how it actually is, in contravention of what they want to hear. And normally they'll nod along and still hear the same thing. Oh, really? You're agreeing with me, aren't you? No, they're not. But that's confirmation bias. And, get to my point, when this is occurring, them seeking out confirmation bias, they will assert that we are, as you described it, in an echo chamber. Because what's actually happening is they're finding their confirmation bias, otherwise known as remaining in an echo chamber. Yes, you have bought the right cable. Yeah, it was a good investment. Yeah. Yeah, it's still a sphere. Yeah. Gravity's still a force. Yeah. They want to hear that. But they don't want to recognise that that's what they're doing, even though that's precisely what they do after they've been here. They go away and they find another echo of what they'd heard formerly.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll leave here and go straight to somewhere else. I don't know, some other server, and go, I completely smashed Nathan over there. He had to get rid of me. He'd silence me because he couldn't take it. And I've heard it. You know, like it never ends with these people that we're talking to. The lies that they go to never stop, even to the point where, like, Craig did that thing where he overdubbed something. That's ridiculous. But
Exactly.
I mean, he thought he was doing the right thing, and all of his fans were like, well, Chemo can't be right, you know. So, you know, he was just doing what he had to do, and to prove a point that the narrator can say anything, and it's shameful. If it was anybody on our side, you would call them out and say, come on, it's going a bit too far, that.
Simultaneously, we'll get accused of cherry picking. Well, this is way beyond cherry picking. It's not just leaving out a bit that contradicts what's just been read out. It's literally changing it. I mean, we discussed it with Anthony, who's our legal specialist, if you will. He's like, yeah, it's bordering on fraud, I said. And he was like, no, it is fraud.
Yeah.
But they project that straight onto us, was my point. You know, all of the indiscretions that they are undergoing themselves, they will project immediately onto us. You're in an echo chamber, you're lying, you're cherry picking. No, not at all. Half the time we're using the words of your own rhetoric to smash you and your story. So, you know, the most overt example of that is you've got a straw man argument in modus tollens in the form of P, if the Earth is a sphere radius 3959. It's like, that's your claim. But you'll literally call your claim a straw man when we use your claim to debunk your claim. Well, suddenly your claim becomes a straw man, like the horizon doesn't exist anymore. Oh, well, we'll vaporise a claim that we require a horizon to physically block things and just say it doesn't exist and we can't see it to get around you debunking it. Ultimately, saying Earth's a sphere with a 3959 radius is a straw man. It's also simultaneously your claim, though, isn't it, double-speaking fundies? Kind of the point.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me the other day that it was a straw man because you say you should see a geometric horizon, and they said, but we never see a geometric horizon, so there's your straw man. That's the part of that modus tollens is that is a straw man, is the fact that we never see a geometric horizon.
That's not a straw man.
I suppose is the sort of the similar sort of thing, but they've just worded it differently in their heads.
That's not a straw man. It's the end of their argument. Their claim is that they have a geometric physical sphere edge horizon blocking boats and buildings, and it's calculable based on how much the physicality of their sphere edge horizon blocks things in the distance. Now, having spent our endless hours of tedium discussing it in their calculator about how much it's physically being blocked by a physical Earth curve edge, to turn around and say we simply don't see that, is to assert that we don't have Earth curve geometry. It's the end of the argument.
Yeah, you'll not get any disagreement with me.
Like I say, when you're dealing with zealots, though, their argument to that is to express their cognitive dissonance and say, no, the physical geometric sphere edge horizon that formerly blocked boats and buildings can never be seen. Well, that makes sense. What's wrong with you? Don't you understand? Use your imagination. Only exists in the maths, but it's derived from the real one that we can't see, and it's based within 5% of that real one that we can't see or measure, and only exists in maths. So just imagine that the horizon you do see is that horizon. So they're one and the same? No, we don't see the geometric one. Unless it's blocking boats and buildings in line with perspective, and then we'll say it is physical and visible.
Yeah, but then it's not measurable.
No, it only exists in the maths. It's not actually measurable. It's arbitrary.
It's like Bendy's Ontals making a comeback. You watch.
Look, they have to assume that bent is straight. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's the end of it, because then at that point, once you do that, they're sort of admitting it's flat, but you can't measure the curve because the curve is actually a straight line.
Right. The most significant thing this year, beyond Black Swan, no offence, was what yourself and Brian's logic have covered in detail. So what are they using? What are the tools? They're all Euclidean tools that express the Earth as being flat. Doesn't matter what kind of surveyor you are, that's all you're doing. Now, the fact that you can move your lantern and then say, right, let's calculate where I am on the presupposed sphere Earth based on Earth-centered, Earth-fixed, or WGS84. Right, I'm pointing this way towards the centre of Earth now. Now let's start making our Euclidean flat Earth measurements. That's what they do. Now, I got a vague idea that's what they did. They're measuring flat because it is flat, and everything being built is being built flat because it's flat. But how do you express that in terms of how the presupposition sneaks in when they say no? You speak to a geodetic surveyor and they say, no, Earth's a sphere. Well, how have you come to that conclusion? Well, because we reference our position based on this datum and then say we're on the position that the sphere says we are. But then, of course, every single level that we use will be using water as being level within this tangent plane. So we've got our presupposition that we're pointing to the centre of Earth before we do anything. And from there on in, we just assume everything around us is flat. Because that's how you actually have to measure things. Because it is flat. Earth is obviously and observably and measurably flat.
Yep. Yeah, they have the theory of the local level. It's like a straight line locally at some point that they don't seem to realise can't exist, but at some point it must bend a straight line, but outside of this local area that they imagine that is actually horizontal. But it can't be horizontal because then you'd be admitting flat Earth according to Fight the Flat Earth. You'd be saying locally you live on a flat Earth. Well, that's not acceptable to him, I'm sure, you know. So yeah, they have to imagine that even that flat bit has some sort of curvature that you can't measure. It's ridiculous.
There's that word again. Imagine.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Thank you, Bev, by the way.
No problem.
No observed Earth-based Coriolis.
Shout out to Emma UK. Local super chat. Thanks, Emma UK. Subscribe today to Emma. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence
Can
of that
imagine.
distance.
Oh, we've got some imagination coming from Discord.
Yeah, you can imagine the distance to the sun.
That's helpful. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No evidence of it, but it sure sounds good when you say it.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
The reification fallacy known as gravity.
I thought this was a dating stream. This isn't a dating stream?
No, absolutely not. Get out.
Oh.
Well, we do cover a couple of things.
A couple? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Impossible in that field.
None whatsoever.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, the presupposition thereof?
Black Swan.
Well, since there is no evidence of it, there is no R value, but 95% or so of the world thinks there is, so it's quite the wizardry.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Impossible.
Yeah, any evidence of that violation of natural law?
I don't think we talked about this yet, but I'd like to go back to gravity. Whatever, if Dr. John Dee's trying to replicate Cavendish, that's kind of starting to smash that, isn't it? Seems like.
Yeah, watch this space.
So, if people say, okay, the proof that it's not like that is the photographs from space of Earth.
And Neil got there first. Do you want to repeat what you just said, Neil?
You have to tell me about Jupiter. What about Jupiter?
Well, if I assume that Jupiter is a gas in a vacuum, that assumption will prove that the sky is a vacuum, you know. It doesn't matter that that assumption stands also in violation of the second law of thermodynamics, because my assumption can quite happily stand in violation of natural law. Look, there it is, standing in violation of natural law, because I've assumed it stands in violation of natural law. Even though if it was actually in violation of natural law, that natural law wouldn't be a natural law anymore. But I'll assume it's violating that natural law quite happily. Look, there it is violating it. Why? Well, because I said so myself. That proves the sky's a vacuum, you know.
How do we prove, or how do they prove that Jupiter is a gas giant? How do we do that?
I just said so. I should have given more clarity to that. It's true because I made it up myself.
Yeah, they looked at it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking they looked at it with spectroscopy and they determined it was a gas giant.
Yeah, spectroscopy we'll get to in a minute, as we've got a spectroscopy expert on our Ballbusters panel in the form of PhD Dr. John D, who's the guy who keeps getting mentioned about this Cavendish stuff. But before I do that, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Truth in Your Face, who makes videos. I quite like Truth in Your Face's videos. Very entertaining and informative. So let's just see if I can read out his super chat without stuttering away. Here is your missing stimulus payment. Okay. It's not really stimulus payment, but we can think of it as one. Don't ask why. You just don't understand. Was going to send it inside a container, but helium balls were blocking the opening. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. Truth in Your Face. Truth in Your Face is a videographer, so check him out. It's very, very funny. Roscoe's name is. Thank you very much, Roscoe. Really appreciate your super chat.
Well, didn't they say
don't
that
they have a
Earth's
rover on
atmosphere is
Jupiter?
extending?
A rover on
They say Earth's
Jupiter.
I'm sure they had to send something up there, Nathan. They didn't just say it's a gas giant.
Let's just try this. Hold on, let's get there quickly. Sorry, who was it that said it? Or I think you were last. Sorry, you're going to end up on this spike, Neil. Where's there? There? Where's there exactly? Where did they send it?
Up in the sky.
Up in the sky? They sent it to the sky? I thought they sent it through, what was the word? Space. Outer space, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's a second law of thermodynamics violation. They definitely didn't travel through a sky vacuum. If the sky was a vacuum, as they claim they've travelled through, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. It's called entropy. Second law of thermodynamics dictates that the sky vacuum would be filled by the gas we're breathing if the sky was a vacuum. So if they're claiming they've sent something to that light in the sky by way of sky vacuum travel, then it's kind of like asserting that you've got evidence from Narnia because of wardrobe travel. Now, obviously, there is no Narnia. It's a fake place. And there's definitely no outer space because it's claimed to be a vacuum and we'd all be dead. Because the gas which we're breathing, high pressure gas, wants to expand in all directions to fill the availability of the volume it has to fill. And if the sky is a vacuum, that's a massive volume the gas can fill. And expand in all directions it will. It's a law of nature. It's called entropy. The second law of thermodynamics describes this process. It's a law of nature, inviolable, never to be defied. So if you're to assert that actually one of those twinkly little lights has had something travel through a natural law violation to examine it as a natural law violation, then you would be a liar. Definitely not true. Violation of natural law.
Listen,
What
just because
about
you haven't been to
gravity?
Narnia doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well,
because it happened in
I've got
Narnia.
this unicorn I found tied up by the lamppost that I feed Skittles. It pees Kool-Aid and it poops cupcakes. I've got proof it's in my backyard.
It doesn't. You're going to have to show me the maths for that.
Give me a minute. I'll write an equation. Hang on a second.
That's better. You know what science is, my friend. Shout out to Rakia Life. Nathan gets money, but God Creator gets the glory. Neil, what is light? Thanks, Rakia Life. Really appreciate your super chat.
So didn't they say that just recently that the Earth's atmosphere is all the way to the moon?
Makes no difference. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
I agree. But what in the world were they doing when they said that?
Just pushing the boundaries of bullshit?
Yeah, they're just seeding the field for the future, right? Because they've said it now in the past. They can reference it in the future sometime and say, see, we've always been saying this.
Good morning,
Covering
peeps.
the tracks.
What's
Good
up,
morning,
chocolate?
Hey, Chocolate.
What's up, man? Good morning, guys.
Morning, chocolate.
Morning.
Just missed the housekeeping. We just finished.
No.
Excellent work.
It's not hard. They don't have much.
So did we get our list of PhDs together?
Wait a minute. Before you go there, I do have a citation for my unicorns.
Oh, here we go.
In the Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis talked about unicorns. So I do have a citation for unicorns in Narnia.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm sorry, I have to go find it. I was actually just making a joke. I didn't think
yesterday, Paul, before you rumpus this.
But he does talk. But he does. In fact,
So yesterday, a globehead, Paul. Check it out. Paul is actually rumpusing me. So yesterday, a globehead got a proper tongue beating for just claiming he'd got a citation and then saying, "I'll be back in 20 minutes." You know what I mean? I know it's on the level of fast with unicorns, so I'm not going to tell you off, Paul. He's gone quiet. This is almost padding out the same as a globehead.
Wait a minute. I'm wrestling a 6-month-old. Come on now, and I'm also trying to get to the mute button. So don't wait a minute.
You haven't got very much time, right?
Exactly.
You have about unicorns everything on Google.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I try and debunk unicorns, I go to Google and it's nothing but references about unicorns. It's surprising how difficult it is to find stuff to debunk that nonsense when you're in their library. Well, there we go.
Wouldn't they have to prove unicorns as opposed to you debunking them?
Unicorns are in the Bible, by the way.
My God.
No, they're not.
Just saying, it says the horns of a unicorn in one of the Psalms. I'm just saying.
No, you got to go back to the translation from the original. That's not what it says. I'm sorry.
That's a goat, Neil, probably.
It's a goat, Neil. God, Neil, what's your problem?
No,
it's a goat.
The Bible says unicorn.
Didn't you go back to the original Hebrew, Neil? Oh, Neil.
Hold on now. Hold on. This is, we don't have to have a fight about this, right? Okay.
No, I think he needs chastisement. I think he should be taken outside
What
and
does it
whipped.
say in the Greek version?
Hold on. The Old Testament is written in Hebrew. Okay, so if you're reading your Bible, you're reading English. So that's a translation.
I read the Hebrew and the Greek too. I got them both.
Okay, great. So just look up the scholarly works on that translation. There are alternatives. Rather, not more than one. There is an alternative, and that is a rhinoceros. Okay, the language is descriptive. It's a one-horned creature, right? But that's well known to be a rhinoceros. So it very well could just be translated as rhinoceros. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Hey, and Nathan, in Master
Or it
B,
could be a
I'm gonna
unicorn.
back up Paul. Hang on, Neil. I'm going to back up Paul. I have proof of Narnia. And Master B, please put that.
City of Narnia. Okay.
Hold on. Is it
Hang on.
that this
Don't
unicorn
take over.
also stamps out fire? Because then it would make sense that it's actually a rhinoceros.
Go on. I've got it up on screen. Got weather data
Yeah, there's
map.
a city in Narnia in Italy. Zip code.
That's Narnia.
It's Narnia for some and Narnia for others.
No, you can just change it. Now, if I narrate this, just say Narnia, because I can just say anything, right? Just change it.
It's like tomato, potato.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the name of a town. A name of a town could mean anything. So if I just change the town of Narnia to the town of Narnia, then my point makes sense, right?
Yep.
Well, that's perfect logic right there. And if there's a narration describing it as Narnia, just overdub your own voice over the top of it, change it to Narnia, and then, narrators could say anything, right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you've got to be a special sort of person to be able to go that far, though, haven't you?
What, a special kind of fundamentalist religious zealot? Yeah, they're all special. Yeah. We encounter a lot of special people. Yeah, definitely special. And by special, I mean fundamentalist religious zealot, just in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah, it was quite clear.
I've got the load. I've actually found a picture of a unicorn in Narnia. Hang on just a second. I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, we're bordering on encouraging a normie to come onto the panel, you realise. And I've been in a terrible mood all week.
There you go. That's Peter in Narnia. You got a satyr right to the right and a unicorn. That's a picture of a unicorn in Narnia. I've done it. So there you go.
Why is there a badger outside of the frame?
That's just a computer framing. So that's just a frame.
Hold on.
This is from the movie. This is from the movie. I think it's which one is this one? I think it's this. Oh, it's the Lion, Witch, in the Wardrobe. Peter is on a unicorn in Narnia.
Oh, I see. So by the same standards, I could cite Star Wars and say that proves gas pressure without a container.
Right. But it's a picture. Come on, aren't pictures good? They got pictures of outer space. They got pictures of the globe. Pictures are good, right?
Yeah, they have NASA, don't they? I mean,
oh, really? Where are NASA? Hold on. Where are NASA taking their pictures from? Hold on. Hold on. Let's just establish where these pictures that NASA take have come from.
That's like the studio, right? That's what I'm saying. It's
from Narnia.
They don't claim Narnia. They don't claim studio. They claim a very specific location that these pictures have come from, right?
They are lying.
Wait, hold up.
There's been a resurgence of NASA
swimming
pictures,
station
by
is
the
not
way.
there.
Hold on, you've got Neil and Chocolate. Just one at a time. Neil first, then Chocolate. Go ahead.
There has been a resurgence in the ballers about these pictures from NASA.
That's okay. We'll help anybody who encounters this wee problem, won't we? So, Chocolate, go ahead.
I was just asking, are we saying that the International Swimming Station is not up there?
Here we go, perfect. Where's there? Hold on. Where's there? Where's there again?
The second law of thermodynamics violation?
Oh, in the second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum violation? That one? No, they're not. No, they're definitely not travelling through space. Outer space is claimed to be a vacuum. And if the sky's a vacuum, then the gas we're breathing will fill that space. And we'd all be dead.
But where is finishing?
It was kind of a trick question because I said the International Swimming Station.
Oh, yes, they do have the Deep Submergence Research Laboratory or whatever the hell they call it, where they've got an ISS full scale underwater. But yeah, they just train in that.
Hey, listen,
where is the end of walking?
Hold on, Travis and Golden Spanner, I think it was. Or
Okay,
Spot Everything. Hold on, Travis. Go on, Spot Everything.
Yeah,
hold on. Go on, Travis.
Yeah, where is the end of what? Where is the end of vacuum?
Where is the
If they're training in water, maybe it's water up there.
Up there?
No, up
Where's
there. Up there is space.
No,
so
they
many
claim space is a vacuum.
Planets and stars. Where is end of that vacuum?
Can you have a vacuum chamber without a container?
No.
No. That means
so the end of the vacuum would be the end of the container containing the vacuum?
Yeah, without the container, there can be no vacuum.
Right. So
can't get around this container.
We need to send some satellite there to see where it's finishing.
Need to send some calculator, did you say?
Hey, I've got my citation. I pulled it off. I've got it.
Oh, God, here we go. Go ahead, Paul. You're on.
Okay, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And there was also a unicorn and a bull and a head of a man and a pelican and an eagle and a dog. So here's a citation from the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. There is a unicorn in Narnia.
And this is Psalm what?
I told you.
This is Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, page 66. Or page 67, sorry.
I see. And here's my citation. Page 257. Luke fell into the sky vacuum.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm better than a baller, at least. I got my citation and a picture, and I've got a good...
I have better citation.
So,
I find it.
Hey, I've got it all covered.
Oh, hold on, you're being challenged. Better citation from Despite Everything, apparently. I'm still waiting on Travis to talk, by the way, Despite Everything, but go ahead.
It's second on Google. It's number 2 on Google. I will not read number 1. It's mythical animal. Second one, something that is highly desirable but difficult to find or obtain.
Okay. Travis, right. Hebrew dictionary's coming out. My God.
It's highly desirable but difficult to find or obtain.
Thank you.
It's like gravity.
Indeedy. Travis, go ahead.
Yeah, well, my recent comment was going to be on the International Swimming Station. It reminded me of my brilliant lyrical craftsmanship when I created a parody of Bruce Springsteen's song "Born to Run." I wrote a parody for NASA called "Born to Scam." It is in the Master B chat. I'm not asking you to play it right now or at all, but if you want to put it in the YouTube chat for other people to follow up on, I think it's, even though I'm not a singer, it's a brilliant display of lyrical genius.
Even though I'm not slightly talented musically, it is basically the most talented production you've ever seen. Let's have a quick listen.
Part of the American dream. At night we stare through the atmosphere for...
Horrendous. Subscribe today.
Oh, viewers are dropping. No.
Oh no, I'm losing subscribers. Quickly, get it off. Right, Hebrew Dictionary. Why have you posted this?
That's just a basic reference to the Strong's dictionary that'll show you the word that gets translated as unicorn, and they'll tell you in that article that it's ambiguous. They don't know what it's referring to.
Okay, very helpful. Well, what you got to say about that, Paul?
No, that was for Neil.
Oh, Neil.
It wasn't me. I was actually quoting the source for the Narnia. My source is even better because I'm actually quoting the source of Narnia.
No,
so
Paul,
Paul,
you're stuck. I gave the zip code at least.
I'm sticking to my Bible. It says unicorn.
You got a bad translation.
Okay,
buddy.
that is your English. That's English.
Sorry,
It's not the same.
You just have to accept this, Travis. He's reached that point where we get to with the ballers, where either we'll go around in this circle for a second time because he said no, or we can go, okay, Neil, good for you.
I think Neil's just horsing around.
My same Bible says Jesus' blood cleanses me from sin.
What's that got to do with unicorns? Bloody word salad.
Yeah, don't be mixing those two.
Yeah, that's a non sequitur.
Moving on.
Wait a minute, though. You got to admit, I have a story, which I made up. I have source material. I have a picture. So who proved unicorns today? I have to say. Who did
I
the
would
best?
say, beyond doubt, that you provided scientific validity to unicorns because you made it up yourself.
But I'm just telling a story. I'm just making it up as I go. So,
just like the ballers, Paul.
Need some better double speak than I'm just making it up as I go along. You know, there's got to be a double think way of phrasing that to make it seem a bit more palatable. Shout out to Al Junkie. He says, Glober shows clip to prove radius. R-rated movie? Question mark.
Don't tell me you gotta go to the X-ray to find the X marks the spot. Oh my gosh!
Thank you for the super chat.
Oh, it's come all crashing down on them, hasn't it? Since the black swan, the gas pressure without container, the lack of Earth-based Coriolis, gravity doesn't even make the top 3. I mean, this is pathetic, Glovers.
Just a real quick shout.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Just a real quick shout out. When I mentioned a non sequitur fallacy, it reminded me of the debate that I had last night alongside Gleam against Conspiracy Cats and MC Toon. I'm listening back to it, and actually I'm less offended at my performance, and I want to just make it known again that my response to Conspiracy Cats, I listed 4 fallacies that he committed in his presentation and interaction with me. So in terms of style and the ability to argue, regardless of the topic, I had him on fallacious arguments.
What, in the moment?
What do you mean in the moment? Like I called him out as we went along?
Yeah, as in you detailed his fallacy, how he'd used it and how he'd applied it.
Well, as much as I could, they rumpused the shit out of me.
That's what I was waiting for you to say. That's all I need to hear. Fundamentalist religious zealot mute button, you mean?
Total hit job.
Anyway, shout out to Retro Bill. I left Narnia when I ditched the globe, but I'm still in the closet as a flat earther, says Retro Bill. No boom boom. Boom boom! Thanks for the super chat, Retro Bill. I like the Narnia parallel. Really quickly gets people to conceptualise what we're talking about when we say the place is fake. Outer space. Everywhere that you get the cartoons from, that doesn't exist. It's not real. And they can't conceptualise it because they're like, well, I've still seen Saturn. Right? That's in space. Now, that's a twinkly light that you look at from the ground. The idea of it being in space is just a story that's been told about that light in the sky. And the story involves a natural law violation. So their story doesn't stack up. Definitely not true. Then when you translate it that way, people can start identifying it as the religious belief that it is. Go on, Travis, you keep adding lots of static to this little monologue. Thanks. You can identify it much easier as a religious belief, because what are they pointing at for their assertions? Well, let's phrase it this way. They're pointing at the heavens and making up stories about the heavens. Now, I might parody it by calling it the sky vacuum, as opposed to outer space, because that's what it is. But this black area in this Star Wars screenshot...
I'm sorry, I got my dispatcher kept calling me right when I was talking.
That's okay. Probably best you interrupt me to apologise for it. This area of black is supposed to be a vacuum. That's the bottom line. So even though this is the Death Star instead of the moon, makes no difference. The narrative is a religious belief about what you're viewing from here, not you viewing the area that they claim the Earth is from here. You never get this perspective. This is Math Powerland's one of the earliest points he made. You will never get this vantage point, ever. No one will. Now, we point out that the reason you won't get that vantage point is because the place that's depicted does not exist. You can't be in a second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum violation. It doesn't work. This high-pressure gas would fill this space. It's expanding in all directions, and all it wants to do is fill the availability of volume it has to fill. That's entropy. Never to be violated. Inviolable natural law. So no, we don't have an area of vacuum above us. And that area that they say they've got cartoons from, oh no, actually pictures, doesn't exist. It ultimately debunks any claim that they've got a photo of Earth from space, because space is fake. Can't have high pressure gas not expanding into an available volume. That defies entropy.
Yeah, but Chocolate said they got a swimming pool up there.
Down here, they've got a full-size ISS in a swimming pool. Go ahead, whoever. Travis.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, it's down here, the International Swimming Station. Yeah, that's not in a vacuum.
That's not an infinity pool edge swimming pool out in space.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but the astronaut almost drowned in it.
What? Don't speak of such things, man. You can't. What are you doing, man? Don't talk about astronauts almost drowning in, bubbles and space. Shh. Don't say these things.
I hate that
following
argument.
the rhetoric.
Bubbles in space is an argument about whether or not you can have bubbles in space and whether or not they're actually claiming to be in space when they're in a pool, right? I get the argument. But that still leaves you with the open-ended idea that space might be real, doesn't it? Oh, well, we debunked that the ISS is in space. But space as a thing is still real, right? At the end of that argument. Same as rockets working in a vacuum. Well, oh no, we've debunked it. You can't have rockets working in a vacuum. But the idea of there being a vacuum as your sky, that's still very much in place at the end of that argument also.
Yep. Doesn't take much, but a few good questions to make the whole house of dominoes fall, does it?
Right, like the housekeeping. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love it when I do the top 3 housekeeping questions. The one that gets the most is gas pressure without container, meaning the initial facial changes. It's like their brain takes over their cheek muscles and their eyelids and says, "What? What'd you say?"
The Black Swan argument will get there. It'll take a fairly prolonged period, but it will eventually reach the point where people go, "All right, you think the horizon's the edge?" Now that word is a great word because they claim we've got an edge now, don't they? It's the straw man of all straw mans because it's their weakest part of their argument that the horizon's a physical sphere edge. So rather than saying, no, it wouldn't bend at cruising altitude. Look, Neil deGrasse Tyson says it wouldn't bend at 120,000 feet. What is it? It is the horizon, and their horizon is a physical edge. So why do they ask us as flat earthers, where's your edge? Why aren't boats going over it? Well, because they've got an edge with boats going over it, that's why. But it's not physical and needs to be. Hence, the Black Swan argument will reach the point where, like I say, people who understand the argument will just say, oh, right, you think the horizon's your edge with boats going over it. And that will be asserted with such venom that people will be dumbfounded. What? No, you're the one with an edge, flat earth. No, here you go. Here's your calculator. Look, here's this little X that says the horizon's a physical edge. So you think the horizon's an edge for boats to go over? Wow, that's pretty crazy. I know the horizon's not physical, but I'm not a globehead with a religious belief in sky vacuums and edges for boats to go over. You crazy fundy, you. But you tell me all about how that horizon's an edge. And when you phrase it like that, they'll say, oh no, saying the horizon's an edge seems like a bit of a misnomer. And you go, well, it's still also part of your religious faith, though, isn't it? Given that it's marked with an X and claiming to be blocking stuff in the distance with its physicality. Because you think the horizon's an edge, Mr. Globe Believer or Mrs. Globe Believer or Ms. Globe Believer. You think the horizon's a physical edge for boats to go over. Wow, you Globe Believers have got some crazy notions about your edge and boats going over it. I know the horizon's definitely not physical. That's a crazy misnomer.
They're projecting again.
It's amazing how the argument has switched over now. Before, it was a physical geometric horizon edge that was blocking the bottom of things. Now, it's just refraction, just optical.
You mean what we've been telling them all along?
Yes.
Whether we've been... Go ahead, Chocolate.
No, I was agreeing with Neil. Yeah, that. Exactly.
They're all changing their tune, right, Chocolate? They're all saying now they're watering down this physical edge into just an apparent horizon, and it's refraction. And they want us to somehow fall into this trap that you can never see the geometric horizon.
Well, what's interesting is yesterday on Jose's show before I got kicked, Erebus was avoiding my question when I was providing photographs with a horizon that is created by the Mirage. And so I asked him, what's creating this horizon? To which he should have said, that's the curve of the Earth. But he wouldn't answer the question either way. He wouldn't answer that it was refraction, and he wouldn't answer that it was the physical curve.
Isn't it ace? It's so ace. They're in a position where they're scared to assert that the horizon is Earth curve now. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, I've noticed this really hard the past couple weeks. Like, these guys don't want to actually assert their claims anymore. Like,
who's digging into the chips?
Oh, that's me. I'm at work. Sorry.
Oh, I just want to say real quick, I've got Nathan's equation. Come on, I've got it. Can you see it on my screen?
Oh my god, is this going to be a unicorn equation? Oh, it is.
Just won't give up.
It is. Hold on, let him talk his way through it.
Okay, U equals unicorns. I have a just so story equals S, and there's time dilation in Narnia. So a just so story that you can think is real, time dilation equals unicorn. There you go. I got it. That's your math.
That's me with egg on my face.
Did any quantum leap into your body, Paul, today or something?
No, I think, Paul, you're making a mistake. You're using a self-winding watch for your time dilation, and that don't count.
I think it's beautiful.
Well, no. In Narnia, see, the kids aged, but they didn't age, because when they came back to the real world, they didn't age. But they aged in Narnia, so that's time dilation. And I just made the story up. Unicorns. Come on.
I think that's pretty much now going to become part of the rhetoric, Paul. I just don't know how anyone can argue with that. And you've got the maths to back it up, therefore science.
You know what you can do, Paul? What you could do, Paul, is you could find out how to incorporate the variable of unicorn as the cause for the time dilation.
Oh, and that would simultaneously give you time as an independent variable. I mean, this could be epic. I think you might end up with the Nobel Prize for this.
Hold on. Maybe those rebellious gas particles gain their sentience because of the unicorn magic.
Oh, I think you're getting ahead of yourself with this crossover. We haven't got the universe of rebellious gas particles.
You need a good
worked out that far.
crossover every season, man.
It's the
Chocolate's getting ahead of himself.
The unicorn farts. Guys, you did it. I forgot about they poop cupcakes.
I did it.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I got more work to do. I'll come back later. I got more work to do.
Oh, God. What have I done?
Meanwhile, Chocolate's working out the whole law, the whole crossover universe that we're going to be having with these rebellious gas particles after they've burnt their bras and that particular story's ended. Maybe the Hulk will come in. Who knows?
Hey, Nathan, if you're interested, I put that video in Master B. If you want to go to the spot that we looked at the other day with that freighter, I'd like to make a suggestion. But the thing is that you're probably going to have to go to, I think, probably minute 27 instead of 17, because there's a 10 minutes at the beginning. If you want.
Okay, so it's playing from minute 27.
You can go on. You can put it on mute because it's just music from Conspiracy Music Guru. I don't see it on the screen right now, though.
Yeah, it's the audience can see though.
Okay, so can you get it to the point where the freighter is halfway behind the oil platform?
You're panning left at the moment. Now you're zooming out. This might have to wait till the after show if you.
Oh, okay, well, whatever. You make the decision. It's fine.
I mean, we've got the oil platform on screen now.
Well, okay, so my suggestion, because when you watch this video and the tanker comes into view, the tanker is in an inferior mirage, okay? So it's transversing the band, okay? The band is there. You can't see it. You see the distortion on the oil platform, and so that's your only reference point that there's something hinky going on through the air. But you got to realize that there's something hinky going on to the right and to the left of that oil platform. And that is proven by the fact that when the freighter comes into view, it's in a mirage. Now, the reality of that we talked about last time is that the inferior mirage is 3/4 of the way up the platform, or I mean, I'm sorry, up the freighter, okay? That inferior mirage shows us demonstrable evidence that that is the actual horizon that you can't see, okay? That's the actual physical level of the water, all right? So when that freighter isn't there, you can't see the water, okay? I am of the opinion that is the reference that they know about, that they call the astronomical horizon, because the astronomical horizon is above the apparent horizon. You just can't see it. So I do actually believe they know that the water level is that high. That's how they can get away with it being a horizon. Did that make any sense?
As good as it's going to get before this live show ends. So with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this, excuse me, on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. As I say, stay tuned if you are watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Meaning, it has zero meaning because there's no.
Isn't that the one with the word imaginary in it?
I don't know that I've come across that. I think I would have highlighted that if I had seen that, but I'm sure that it could possibly be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to it right now.
Because I think two of their, might not have been him that defined it that way, but I know two of their horizons are defined as imaginary. And I think it was the astronomical one and the true one, which is freaking hilarious. Call something true, but it's imaginary. That's great.
I think the
What about
It's
the horizon of another
astronomical
thought?
refraction, the terminology. Is that what you're?
no. Okay, so
Yeah, astronomical horizon.
Okay,
yeah.
here,
But if
I got it. I got
okay,
it right
okay.
there. I'll read it right now. All right. Astronomical horizon. The intersection of a horizontal plane through the eye with this celestial sphere. Well, that right there says it, because celestial sphere is imaginary, and they've already committed to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but keep reading.
Okay.
There's
No.
more.
Yeah, I know. But once you people understand celestial sphere is made up, imaginary, you win right there. But I'll keep reading. Note, because the celestial sphere has an infinite radius, two observers at different heights above sea level, but placed on the same vertical line, have the same astronomical horizon. Because of dip, the astronomical horizon always lies above the sea horizon, but usually hidden by trees, hills, and buildings. What a joke. These objects then determine the observer's apparent horizon, see above.
Okay, so that's a little bit different than the one that I found yesterday when I was going through his stuff. If you go through his massive glossary and go to Mirage, if you click Mirage, within, and I'm not asking you to do that right now, but I'm just saying for reference, if you click Mirage, he has a lot of little hyperlinks in there, and the astronomical horizon and the apparent horizon are put side by side so that you can see which, the difference between the two. But anyway, like I said, I'm not asking you to go fishing for it right now.
Yeah, he pretty much said it right there when he referenced it to the celestial sphere, because the celestial sphere is an imaginary circle in the sky, the space vacuum of theirs, where all the stars are placed and put. And for navigation, they want you to pretend the Earth is not moving, but the stars are. That's how they say in navigation, it makes it easier to work out where you are longitude and latitude wise. So word salad, double speak, imaginary celestial sphere. What more do you want? Oh, hang on. Narnia proof coming. Come on, Paul.
Well, they're going to transpose that onto longitude and latitude lines, which are on their presupposed sphere anyway. So they can quite happily get away with that double speak, because in the next sentence it's saying latitude and longitude. So presupposition of a sphere still stands. However, when you're calculating it, considering your position on sphere as though it's flat is an easy way to get around that doublespeak. If someone read it, they'd go, oh yeah, but you've still got a latitude or longitude position. In other words, like the geodetic surveys, you can just say, well, no, but I'm actually still pointing to this particular point of my presupposed sphere because I'm going to reference it to my latitude and my longitude.
My favorite part of the Andrew Thomas Young debacle was the choose your own adventure aspect of it. So all the above was done on a plane surface. Oh, but if we want to talk about geometrical considerations, go to page 12.
Oh, it's like one of those adventure books when you were about 10.
Yes, choose your own adventure. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. like
yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons style stuff. So you go, yeah, if you want to take the crystal from the gnome, then go to page 4. However, if you feel he's a threat, then go to page 7.
Yep. That's what it is. That's how I see it. When he says, oh, we can make some geometric considerations because everything I talked about above was done on a plane surface. Yeah, Andrew Thomas Young. That's a choose your own adventure book. I remember those. You're not sneaky.
So you flick to page 27 and it says, remember to beg the question of a sphere.
Yep.
Celestial sphere, imaginary sphere of infinite radius with the Earth at its center, is used for describing the positions and motions of stars and other objects.
Well, sounds like the globe. Imagine the globe as the 21-sided die.
By the way, you're going to get hit with some ether soon. People claim they got new evidence, scientifically can back it up. So buckle up.
For what?
Ether, apparently.
Correct.
So you're saying we're going to be chopping flat earthers' heads off?
You're going to have to smack them around a little bit.
Well, if there's scientific proof for it, then why not?
Hey, Brian.
Till then, I don't know what to do.
They say.
Okay.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
What's up, Brian?
Hey, B.
Well, we'll see what they've got. So straight away, I think there's a problem. Is ether a cause and effect relationship?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I think that that's all part of the discussion, even with the Mirage. Okay, so it's an optical phenomenon, right? So when we look up into the sky, we see optical phenomena. So we're trying to explain or describe what we're seeing. Aether is simply a word that is now associated with those observations. Now, we can't get there, right? Okay, I'm not claiming scientific validation whatsoever, but we are at an observational level, and that is the same thing with Mirage. You can't ever get to the Mirage. So all you can do...
It's in Las Vegas.
All you can ever do is try to describe as best you can what you think is happening. That's it. Now, I would like to take it as... I would like it to actually take it a step farther, and that's what I've been saying on my channel forever, is to get someone to go out into it, moving back and forth, and then we can at least make some more observational, because again, when that person is in a person is in a local proximity, okay, so let's say I'm making an observation on the ocean and the Mirage is 10 miles away from me. So now the guy gets in a boat and he sails 10 miles. As soon as he gets to the horizon and starts to go into the band, he doesn't know he's in it. It's not like he goes, whoa, and he knows that he's in it. He's still in a local proximity that looks normal and natural to him. There's nothing hanky going on for him. But for me, I now have something to understand that now that Mirage is 10 miles away. And now I can watch him go into that Mirage. And when he says, okay, I'm now 5 miles farther and I can't see him, now I know that that Mirage, in terms of when he disappeared, is 5 miles deep. You know what I'm saying? That kind of information is the stuff that I want to get out on the water or out on the terra firma and science the shit out of that. That's what I want to do.
When you say science the shit out of it, what do you mean?
Just increase those observational
That's not science.
data.
Well, that's not science.
Okay. I'm not as tight as you are on that, but that's okay. I'm not going to fight you.
Well, you've got an observation. Well, yeah, you described it accurately as phenomenon. Well, fine. But there's a method to elucidate what caused that phenomenon. Do you know what that method is?
Yeah, this is called the scientific method, yeah.
Right. But beyond observing and describing, which you could use maths or you could use words, but it is just merely a description, and enabling you to describe something better doesn't tell you why it's happened, or to be more accurate, what caused it.
I agree. However, and let me ask you this question. I'm asking you to help me think through this. I know the cause of 10th man's boat appearing to be swallowed up in some vortex of weirdness and then disappear. I know the cause. It's the Mirage.
No.
Now, I can't...
No, don't confuse the cause with the effect. That's the phenomena you're observing. That's not the cause. The cause of what you've described is actually an effect.
Which is a cause.
No.
I know. I disagree with you, but that's okay.
Okay. So, you think it's a cause. How are you going to vary and manipulate this cause?
I can either elevate myself or move farther away or closer to it.
That's not manipulating the cause, though, is it? That's manipulating your elevation. Something abstract.
Right. Okay, so, right. So let me ask you a question. Again, I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm trying to have an open discussion. So my question is, and let me preface it with word salad, I apologize. So yesterday in my debate, they said, science is settled. We know about refraction. We know. I said, great. So you're a dogmatic scientific priest. You have nothing to learn. You have nothing to change, nothing to nuance. My suggestion is that the scientific method that we're talking about might have a different nuance when we're talking about Mirage, because we cannot manipulate it, but it is still a phenomenon that has a cause and effect relationship.
Yeah, and establishing what that is would be science. If they're saying we know what Mirage is science, go, okay, let's see it. What's your science? What was the observed phenomena? What was the hypothesis? Let's see who varied and manipulated that assumed cause to prove it caused the effect. Let's see your science. If somebody claims science, ask them to show it you. And see what the hypothesis stated, if they varied and manipulated that which they assume caused the effect, and it did cause the effect.
Okay, right.
Then they've got
so
science.
Now okay, again, I'm here to learn. I'm here to go back and forth. So I'm in a debate or a discussion with someone who claims that boats go over the curve. So the cause of the boat disappearing the way that it does in his world is a physical Earth curve. Okay, that's his cause and effect. Okay.
Yeah.
My alternative to that is
why? Stop. Why have you got to provide an alternative? Your opponent has provided you with a cause and effect relationship, and there's a methodology for elucidating the cause of an effect called science. So if they want to assert a natural phenomena and its cause, they damn well better give you some science, not you have to come up with an alternative. Now, while it might be interesting, I'm telling you off because what you do is fascinating. Like Ranty. So I'll give Ranty rather than you, so it's not me telling you off. Ranty would come to me and say, look at this. Right. Here's my alternative explanation for Earth curve. And I'm like, no, there's no necessity for you to give an alternative to Earth curve. Debunk it and then laugh at them. Now, Ranty's answer to that was, no, but I'm interested in how it actually works. I know Earth's not a sphere, but that leaves the world of wonder before me. And I want to look at it, just like you are, Travis. And I applaud you. But when you falsely assume that you've got to provide that as some sort of rebuttal, you never should be in a position where you're providing what you do as some sort of rebuttal to Earth curve. Oh, right, you've got a cause and effect relationship. Validate it then. Apparently the whole of science is behind you, so let's see it. Not, well, actually, I think the way it works is, no, you don't need to do that to challenge someone's claim. Now, while I admire what you're doing, it should never, ever be presented in rebuttal to Earth curve. Under any circumstances, it's not your place to have the burden of proof reversal fallacy apply to you. Why should you have to demonstrate their claim of cause and effect in response with another just so story? No offense.
No, understood. Point taken. I stand corrected. I fully concede to your tongue lashing that I overlooked the fact that I did not press them to bear the burden of proving their science. I fully concede that. Thank you. Point taken.
Can I say something on it?
Just before you do, shout out to Spurs Chemo, then you can, Brian. Spurs Chemo, just go and check out his debate with Tony Purcell. Now, all he did was stick to the scientific method. That's it. It is that simple. And he handed a PhD his ass. So if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. Go on, Brian. Go ahead.
Thanks, Nathan. Just Travis, about what you're viewing, that being an effect, the effect you're seeing, the cause of that is going to be temperature.
I disagree.
Well, that's what causes these things. It's differing in temperature.
I disagree.
The water and the air.
Yeah,
well, okay.
Right. But see, my question now to go back on what Nathan just said, where's your evidence that temperature is the cause?
But we know that temperature has an effect on liquid and air.
Great. How do you know that that's causing the mirage?
Well, I don't know for definite, but if I was going to go finding a cause, it wouldn't be the observation of the effect.
Right, but you just can't say temperature. It's not just temperature; again, it's a combination of things.
Moisture, temperature.
Yeah, but we have to get to the common denominator. The common denominator is going to be temperature. Even though there'll be other things involved,
I absolutely disagree with that. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, but how are you going to find the cause? One second.
I don't think you can.
Oh, well, what the hell? No.
Yeah.
Hello. Am I being completely ignored? You know what, Brian? There is actually a method of elucidation of cause.
I know. This is what I'm saying.
So it's not. The reason I highlight it at this point, Brian, is because it's not an agree-disagree situation. I've got a just so story. Well, I've got a just so story that seems more plausible. Well, I've got correlation. Well, I've got more correlation. Well, I've got this graph. Well, I've got this excellent description in maths. And so it goes on. Now, science, fortunately, offers you empiricism. Here is the validated cause. definitely not the cause. We're chucking out the null. We've invalidated that shit. We've proven it. Here's the cause. Dun, 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 dun. Science. Now, all this shit about discussing what might or might not be is pie-in-the-sky speculation, and could, if people would actually adhere to this bloody method, form part of your hypothesis, your assumption, your presumed cause of the effect. Now, if you want to say temperature, fine. If temperature, then mirage. Go forth and validate. Formulate a hypothesis with a null, validate that which you assume causes the effect, and if you fail, you fail. But you will validate your null. It won't all be for nothing. You will definitely achieve something at the end of that process. You'll invalidate something as definitely not causing it. So if heat and temperature's got sod all to do with it, and it's formulated correctly into a hypothesis with a valid null, you will invalidate it if you go through that process. That's how the process has been formed, to be empirical. So we don't have to have these discussions.
I love you. Yeah, I totally agree. But the point I was making is that Travis is not going to find the cause by looking at it. That's the effect he's looking at.
Okay, hold on. Listen. Okay,
you have to find out the cause of it.
Yeah. No, Brian's right.
Hold on.
Yeah, take it, Travis. Brian's right.
Okay, listen. This is the point that I made in my debates, and I've made it on my channel as well. Who's clicking around?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Sorry.
Chocolate.
Okay.
Oh shit. Sorry. I didn't even unmute, man. How the hell did that happen? Hold on.
I would suggest you apologise through Travis's detailed explanation.
Yeah,
Chocolate was the cause, and the sound effects was the effect.
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
We're getting further away from Travis's point. Go ahead.
Okay. My claim is not the cause of the mirage. That is not my claim. I have no interest in what causes the mirage. My claim is oriented toward what causes the distortion of the object I'm viewing over distance, either aquatic or terrestrial.
That's the bloody mirage!
Yeah, but I'm not arguing the cause of the mirage. The mirage.
Oh my god, you double speaking. You are double speaking, right. Travis.
Okay.
You want to be able to... Look, I know what's going on here.
Anyway.
Hold on, we've got someone from Discord. Go ahead, whoever it was in Discord, 2 or 3 of you all at once.
Can I say my piece?
I'm saying you can't measure an not actual location anyway.
Correct.
Well, you can go to where the mirage is happening, and what's happening is when we have a mirage, sometimes there's temperature variations, but sometimes there's not. So to say it's just temperature, it's no way. You can't do that.
It's called a correlation.
Well, I would say that moisture would have a lot to do with it as well.
Speak up, please.
Saying he thinks it could be moisture.
Yeah, you've got barometric pressure, you've got air temperature, you've got water temperature, you've got wind, you've got humidity. Yeah, I mean, it's all of these variables, right? So
angle Nathan, of light, again, angle of the viewer.
Yeah, angle, all of that. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so Nathan, help me.
And the combinations thereof.
Yes.
The reason, just before Nathan says something, the reason I said temperature is because without temperature, you don't get all these other things. Temperature is the backbone of what. So that's the first place I'd start. If I want to find a cause, temperature is where I'd start.
Okay, let me ask you a question then, Brian. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a question. In my research, I have read this about inferior mirages. Inferior mirages can be caused either by the air temperature being colder than the water, or the water being colder than the air. What does that tell you?
Tells you someone's asserted cause.
No, it tells you that it can happen at any time.
Oh, does it?
Because
Sorry,
of the air
hold
temperature.
On. Travis, I heard the word cause used. It was the third word. Correct me if I am wrong.
I'm just reiterating what
just was I right or not? The word cause was asserted. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And we are describing phenomenon?
That would be phenomena, but yes, sir.
Okay, I suppose you can have more than one mirage described with this description. We're describing phenomena, correct?
Yes, sir.
Guess what we've got to elucidate that cause empirically?
Guess what we've got to elucidate that cause empirically? We have to wiggle the independent variable.
You got it. Have they done that in this description that you say just explain something?
Listen, I know. Yes, I know. No, they have not.
Oh. So this is like a
Right,
just
so
so
just 'cause
story.
you read it
So it's
doesn't
hold on,
mean they
it's my point. So it's kind of like they've taken a hypothesis and mistaken it for validated cause. Like they've got a just so story, an assumed cause and effect, and then that's being described as the cause, even though it hasn't been validated empirically as that cause, correct?
Yes.
I see.
So, okay, let me ask you a question then. If you want to pull up my video or just reference in your own mind, when you see an image that is miraged, how would you describe? I mean,
describe?
That's all.
How would I describe it?
No. Listen, hold on. Okay, because there are certain nuances here, and I am here to learn. So, if I see the horizon closer to me yesterday, farther away today, you not think that has a cause?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could describe it, and that would be poetry.
Okay, I'm good with that, bro. I'm totally good with that.
I'd prefer to have science. Poetry's lovely and all. Hypothesis describing causal relationships definitely isn't for me, though.
Let me bring back something Travis said a few minutes ago. He said he doesn't think it can be proved, and I want context for that because prior to that, he said he wants to go out with a boat and prove it. So
He also no, that's not what he said. He said he wanted to science the shit out of it, grabbing a little bit of credence and magic from those words of empiricism, Travis?
Well, if the only thing that's going to be varied and manipulated is distance, then it's not going to work because that's
it's
valid.
distance and height. Distance.
Neither are cause.
Really? So height is not a distance, is it?
Let Travis have a chance.
Neither of
XY.
Neither are
those are both distances.
They're neither viable causes. Distance never causes anything ever. If distance, then something happening. No, you will never vary distance to cause a phenomenon. This is not a valid cause.
Dude, if it were, I would have been able to prove gravity like 2 years ago.
Yeah, if distance, right? If distance, then object go down, go boom, boom.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Travis, would I say that we're just in the discovering the phenomena stage right now? I mean, we've just now discovered that these things are happening in a different way that we never saw before. That's the first stage, right? We're just there.
Yeah, but Travis is going on a different path. He's gone to page 17, where he does what we are fighting against, which he says, I'm going to look at something, describe it really beautifully, and call it science. That's what he's doing. Now, I'm not going to give him too hard a time because he's a useful tool. I'm not... tool. I'm sorry, that came out all wrong.
Thanks, Sully. I'm going to get a soundbite for that one.
Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean, you're a useful tool for the audience to understand how we can easily end up on the same path of that which we fight against. Mistaking a hypothesis for an explanation, creating just so stories, using poetry, and then saying we've got valid cause. All of the things that are being done to us and have been done to people in past generations, is the hijacking of this scientific method. The empiricism and the words that are associated with said empiricism are what you have utilised, Travis, when you said you wanted to science the shit out of it, meaning you want a really good poetic description.
I'm still thinking this stuff through, so I am taking everything under consideration. So
good, you bloody pretender clown.
Yeah, so
everybody needs a good just so story every now and then, you know.
Yeah,
some good pseudo.
Yeah, everyone needs some pseudo.
I thought he said go ahead 10th. How many 10ths are here?
Go ahead 10th.
Thank you, moderator. Yes. So, Travis, let me give you.
Can you hold on? Can you mute Travis because he's whistling through you?
We're just getting you back for all the times you rump us up, man.
That's okay. I could take it. All right. So, Travis, there's a real quick conclusion to this because you were referencing and citing Andrew Thomas Young's work on astronomical, refraction, all those terms, horizons, and stuff like that. Just believe when he says all. That's ALL. All of the refraction calculations were done on the plane surface. It's over right there.
What's the page? What page is that on?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
That's on the refraction. I'll put it in Master B now.
Okay.
It's what's on screen for the audience now, and coincidentally for you in G+, Travis. This is Andrew Thomas Young's diagram depicting how the dotted line will give them a geometric tangent point, i.e. Earth curve edge horizon, and the line between O and H is their donkey dick geometry.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Jake, you have any insightful?
I'm gonna read it word for word, and I'm gonna post it right afterward. The whole link. It's at the very bottom of the page that I'm linking in Master B as the summary. Basically, it says in bold print: calculating atmospheric refraction. All the discussion above deals with plane surfaces, but the Earth isn't flat! Exclamation point. To deal with refraction in a curved atmosphere, we have to introduce some geometrical considerations, which we have been put on a separate page. End quote.
Curved atmosphere.
That's absolutely amazing.
Bro, I told you it's to choose your own adventure, man. Here we did all these calculations on plane surface. That's the really is level. Then we go to Narnia. And that's where we make our geometric considerations. Choose your own adventure.
Will you be our dungeon master, Chocolate?
No, he's referencing the Hardy Boys.
Negative. That would be Arwen. Arwen's a dungeon.
I thought you were talking about the Hardy Boys.
Guy. Hardy Boys?
Yeah. What was that? 10th, where did you get Hardy Boys out of that?
Choose your own adventure.
That was Hardy Boys?
No, they
I thought
never
that was
had
something
that.
different.
What are you talking about? Hardy Boys
just...
had all kinds of adventures. Pick up the book you want.
Well, okay, yeah, but that's not the same. If you choosing your own adventure is
all
reading the
my
book.
Hang on, I could do it too. It's easy. I got a good teacher. All my Hardy Boys adventures were made on my man cave. But if I want to reify it, I can.
No, it's about turning to page 17 to change the outcome of the story.
How'd you know it was page 17?
How am I supposed to? Where am I going to go from there?
That's the official Glow page now. For geometric considerations. 17.
I thought Scooby-Doo was the adventurous story.
Scooby-Doo's teaching kids that, monsters are actually just people.
No.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky flat earthers.
Like
we're going to officially call it Area 17 now.
Why not?
Why?
Because it's better than 51.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you're
Area
about.
51 doesn't have 95% of the world fooled.
Okay.
Okay. Plus, if I say page 17, they're going to say produce the book. But if I say area 17, I don't have to produce anything. I just make it up.
You did. You did just make it up. Good trick, though.
I did. We do. We don't.
It's a good way. That's quite a subtle magic trick. I could just make it up, implying that what you've said is actually true and not made up.
I admit it. I made it up.
Can I say something that's slightly off topic?
No.
No, I'm not done making that up.
I'm kidding.
I'm not done making stuff up. Sorry, I'll come back in a while.
I was going to say I made it up on the fly, and now you guys have to prove I wasn't flying. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, it's slightly off topic, but it's something I wanted to say yesterday before the show finished. Now, I might get a tongue lashing for this, for what I started off with, and if I do, I accept this. It's fine. You know the way... is this okay, Nathan?
What?
You didn't say go ahead, so
yeah, go ahead.
I need your permission. Don't
make it seem like that.
Okay.
Only when there's rumpusing.
For Nathan, make it so.
Okay.
It's only when people are rumpusing you like now. So once I've got control of people like chocolate, I can say, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, people like chocolate.
You know the way ballers are always asking for, show us your flat earth map. You know, this rubbish. We're getting it all for years. Well, what they don't realize is that if they didn't convert all the Cartesian coordinates and polar coordinates, which are flat earth coordinates, to latitude and longitude, geographical coordinates, and just stayed with the Cartesian and polar coordinates, they'd have what would be the only equivalent that we could come up with of a flat earth map. So they actually are always reading flat earth maps when they're looking at a map, whether they realize it or not, regardless of it having latitude and longitude on it or anything else. It's always a flat earth map because it's always converted from the flat earth coordinates. And another thing, something that I said yesterday as well afterwards was fantastic flat earth proof is anti-ship cruise missiles, because they use GPS for navigation, and GPS uses Cartesian coordinates all the time. It just converts them mathematically to latitude and longitude. So they're always referencing a flat earth in 3D. When that's the navigation systems on the anti-ship cruise missiles.
Can't get away from it, is what you're saying. Earth is flat. This changing from one system to another so that you can assert latitude and longitude. If you just didn't do that, well, it would just remain flat. There wouldn't be a conversion process to globe.
Exactly, just like with Andrew Thomas Young. You know, same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you make your measurements and then say, right, okay, now let's reify these into a globe. Well, you don't have to do that. Same with the insertion of R. They say, well, prove it's flat. And it's like, well, how do you think you get your measurements? You start with it flat and then you insert this presupposition of an R value, giving you a radius value. So when you measure your stars, for instance, and then you bung in R, well, what do you think you've got when you remove the presupposition? You're just left with it being flat. That's the starting point.
Exactly.
I have a citation for people who are like chocolate in Master B.
You can't see that in the Hangout, unfortunately, but people are like chocolate, mostly sweet with a few nuts.
With a few nuts.
I'm about to whoop this little white bitch ass.
That's the panel, chocolate. We're the nuts.
Yeah, I know.
Him and Chevy Chase.
So, Bev, are you at that crossroads where you might end up turning into Spurs and evangelizing this stuff?
Say that again.
Spurs is a bit of a flat Earth evangelist, and from what you said earlier about Craig, you weren't on the path of fundy, ha ha ha. You're on the path of he must accept that it's flat. Then that's kind of where I'm asking: are you at that crossroads, or are you already halfway down the road of flat Earth evangelism like Spurs?
No. I'm just I'm a realist, and he's obviously at the point now where he's having to back up the words that he said. I mean, I say, I've developed a test that will show and have proof that level is horizontal. But I mean, it's not really needed, as far as I can see. It'd just be getting people to pay for something that you already know is true anyway. It's
damn it!
Do you give a shit? Yes or no?
He's at a position now where he's having to face these things for himself, and he's at the point where he's going to have to try and find the proof. I mean, they've just stated it in the past, haven't they? You know, like they know the truth, and they know, and we're just stupid and all of that. But now, I mean, he's got a bet on. He'll be scrambling to get people to say that it is curved. I mean, I can imagine him calling up these Pilkington's glass firms and saying, yeah, I know you say it's level and it's floated, but I mean, there's curvature there, isn't there? I mean, there has to be curvature because the Earth curves, doesn't it? So I think that'll be funny for him. Like, it's obvious, isn't it? What's obvious is that level is horizontal, and surveyors couldn't work if it wasn't. It's just he's making his side make the decision and say it out loud. Where just it's going to make them sound stupid to the regular people.
Sounds painful.
I fully have their back, and I hope they continue to make themselves look just as stupid as they are.
Yeah. So I'm backing Spurs in that respect. But I mean, there's nothing that needs proving
Nathan, I
to
don't
anyone.
give a shit if they believe or not.
You took the words out of my mouth.
That's how you really feel, Neil.
Excellent, Neil.
Oh yeah, Neil, I got your back.
I'm with that.
Yeah, but it's because it's fresh in your mind. I'm just checking it that it doesn't, continue with you being deeply concerned about whether or not Craig believes this. The guy's a fundy.
Oh, no, he's never going to believe it. I understand that. But I mean, him shouting that level can't be horizontal, because if level is horizontal, then that means flat Earth. I mean, anybody that's listening to that hasn't come into it will be thinking, well, wait a minute, I thought level was horizontal. I'm going to have to look into this. And obviously, they're never going to find what he's looking for. He's never going to find it.
There it is again. The concern for the they that might.
Fundy is flight to flat Earth, because they'll find it.
The thing is that they're going to him to have their confirmation bias satisfied. So I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, they'll have to go and affirm their belief in the opposite direction because of the conclusion he must draw from here on out. Well, no, because he'll certainly completely the contrary, lie, make something up, literally transpose his own voice over the top of the narrator. Anything that's needed to be done so that the people who get their confirmation bias fix. That's what he's there for. So, but your concern in the direction of the people who go to him is that, well, will they see it from this? You're going to drive yourself nuts.
I'd like to say something here. You used the word with the black swan about the radius. You said it's untenable, their position, because the radius must have that geometric physical horizon edge. And this is untenable too, Bev, because everyone knows straight is and level is horizontal.
You've done your bit. You've shown beyond doubt that what they're doing and measuring is a flat Earth. You've exposed their presupposition they apply beforehand. It's game over. Completely, you've done a superb job. But the problem is that you haven't seen the win. There's no head on a spike at the end of this, metaphorically speaking, is there, Bev? And that's what you want.
When you come on this journey, it's a personal journey anyway. You know, you can never take anybody with you on the journey that it's a personal truth or whatever that you're trying to find. What I don't like the idea of is that these people are blatantly lying, but then at the same time as them blatantly lying, they are saying that you can't teach your own children what you deem to be a fact and what you've purposely researched to be a fact, because they say you're a child abuser for doing that. Well, that doesn't sit very well for me.
Right. Well,
saying that shit in somebody's face, fight the fire. I dare you.
Well, he has. No, he has. He has. We played it earlier, Chocolate. We played it. He has said that. But those specific words, pretty much verbatim.
No, I know. I mean, I've heard it before. That's why I feel about him the way I do, because I've heard that, and I heard the exchange between him and Bev. So that's how I feel about him as a human. But what I'm saying is, try to say that shit to somebody's face in person. Guarantee it won't happen with that clown.
Yeah, we would hope that we live in a reasonable.
The reason he said it is because untenable is unsustainable, indefensible, unsound, groundless, weak, flawed, shaky, unreasonable, illogical, fallacious, and insupportable. That's why he attacks and ad homs, because it's untenable. You won, Bev. This is him blowing up because he can't defend it.
Bev, you will get your head on a spike, but when that comes, it'll be in probably years to come, a couple of years down the line. And when it happens, you'll be focused on more positive things at that time. So when it happens, you'll go, oh yeah, that. It'll come out of the blue, not when you're expecting it. You'll just suddenly, out of the blue, it'll come. You know, and at the time,
the heads are already on the spike. Things. As soon as the PhD can't take care of Spurs or Bev takes these people to the woodshed, the head is already being put on the spike. We have it. It's there. It's
metaphorically, Dave, the spike being on a head is their problem. That's how I tried to illustrate it to Spurs. It's like, yeah, if you want to put it into that metaphor, it's their pain, not yours, Bev. So when you having to go through the processes that they've gone through, and for Craig having to keep affirming the nonsense is going to be cognitively painful. Now, by the time, if, again, metaphorically, his head ends up on a spike because the people go, you actually lied to us. They recognise it like you want them to right now. Well, by then you won't care, because you'll have recognised that, like you said moments earlier, it's your personal journey, not his, and you can't really influence it. You can potentially influence an audience when you're there, but beyond that, you're concerned for what they might feel or think when they come across his information, which has been disproven. That's never going to be achieved, because they're not there to get that from him. They're there to get their confirmation bias fix every single time.
Yeah, because they have no honor and humility, they will not give you your victory when you deserve it, which is when you've bet them. They won't. That's why this, as I said, in years to come, we'll all have that situation where we'll see people and hear. Well, let's just say it'll be so solidly proven in some years to come that we're not on a spinning globe, that people that we argued with for years who wouldn't give us our victories, even though they knew they were wrong and they knew they had lost. That's why I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They won't give you that victory now, even though you deserve it now. He should say, "You're right. I can't disprove you," but he won't. He won't do that. So it'll be in years to come when he's hanging his head in shame, and at that point you'll be after forgetting about him.
Yeah, it'll be his problem and his shame and his head hung, and you won't care. But ultimately speaking, that pain that's being fought off, all he's doing is putting chewing gum in a broken dam. That's all he's doing, because he already knows where he's right and wrong, and he looks to the audience's cheers to affirm his incorrect position. But deep down inside, cognitively, we all know that he knows where he's making stuff up, lying, being deceitful, and those are the extents he has to go to. well, that's not going to be fun. That's not having a pleasurable life. You know, those kinds of scumbags, if they have any empathy whatsoever, will feel pain. Now, there's a certain type of person that doesn't have that, a psychopath, and they can do it all day long. And you're never going to get through to them regardless of how wrong they are. Even if they were proven wrong, they would still be right. So it doesn't matter to them. But I don't know, I don't peg Craig as a psychopath. So I see his pain. He expresses it. People like Spurs highlight it when his voice cracks. You can hear it.
Yes, very true.
Share your pain, fundies.
I'm enjoying it right now at this time. I mean, I came into this as I was just an average person, right? And they say silly things, and it's exciting at the minute because what I've learned is a confidence, right? That I now, before I just said something and I didn't have any personal proof behind it, but now I do. I've got like solid proofs within myself. So I can quite confidently say something to these fools. And I know I'm correct. I don't need to feel threatened by these the lies that come from them. And I think that there's a growing spirit within us, that there's a confidence that, you know.
And I think they can feel that, Bev.
Yeah.
They can feel it, they can hear it, they know. Which is why I think they're trying so hard to remain relevant.
There's a disciplinary issue.
I think it irks them when we sit here and talk. I'm sorry, Nathan.
That's okay, carry on.
I think it irks them when they hear us talking about, oh, we want the PhDs, we want the educators, we want those guys. It irks them because they feel like they're not relevant anymore. They sit in the back chats and keep talking to each other like it's cool, and that's cute. But how long are you going to do that? How long are you going to do that before you actually progress? You haven't progressed. Some of y'all are the same people that were here 5 years ago telling us flat Earth is dying. Meanwhile, here you are, still in the same chat, saying the same thing.
Shout out, Danny D.
Right?
I think they need to be disciplined. So yeah, it's only since having kids that I've realised this. That if you don't discipline your child, they'll laugh at you when they do something wrong because they know they can get away with it. And that's the situation we're in. They assert complete nonsense. We have to go round the same circle 5 times explaining how and why it's nonsense. And then at the end of it, they laugh at us. So that they can go to another room and say, I won. I got the best of him because I completely lied, I cheated, I swindled. And at the end of it, I just laughed in his face or her face at the end. So I think we should start disciplining them for their digressions and errors and lies and telling them off and saying, no, what you're going to now have to endure is somebody who's in authority because we've corrected you where you're wrong and you're going to get told off for it. So where you're saying, oh, I'm now starting to have a bit more self-confidence because previously you basically got bullied to all shit by people who just went with consensus. Now the tables have turned. It's like, well, why the hell should we have to endure somebody who's just lied to our faces laughing at us after we point out that they've lied? Shouldn't they be getting told off? And that's precisely what I'm going to be doing from now on. After they lie and get proven to be liars, tell them off for it.
Travis, you gotta mute, bro. Travis.
Been like this the whole show. Travis. Am I going to have to end the show because Travis has left his mic wide open? Jesus wept.
Travis. I can all hear you trying to contact Mars right now. Or whatever it is you're doing.
Travis. Literally zero discipline.
Tell him off. Bring him on.
Hello? Travis? Hello? Can't even kick him out.
Ability to mute people? Come on, Nathan. This is your...
No, I can't mute people in G+.
No, everyone sounds like they're underwater.
Hey, thank you. So it was temperature at the end of the day.
Yeah, they downgraded G Plus and removed a lot of the features from it. So you can't even mute somebody now.
That's terrible.
Right, that's why it's only trusted people on the panel. Trusted people to mute, Travis.
Listen, I'm sorry. I switched to my Bluetooth speaker and forgot that my headphones were muted, but when I switched over, the speaker was open, so I'm sorry.
And who's the cause of that?
Shut up.
Just try and stay on mute. Unless you're talking, just try and stay on mute, Travis. Thank you. Anyway, back to the point. They need telling off. They're demonstrably incorrect and or lying about their position. Why wouldn't they be told off? If we don't tell them off, they'll feel they can get away with it indefinitely like they have for the last 5 years here. No consequences.
I totally agree with Nathan.
There's no consequences for them.
Progression.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, I'm saying totally that's the progression that has to happen. And you're the man for the job.
Well, I've started. I've heard that and done it, you know, and it's to my detriment. My wife's like, "Oh, you're gonna have a heart attack." I'm like, "Well, no, it's completely controlled," because she's obviously talking to me perfectly calm. And there's a few people like Pete Shea who are like, "Yeah, drama," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is drama. That is true." But that is ultimately speaking what people who come as an audience member want. If we just sat here monotone, droning on, then nobody would watch. But ultimately speaking, there is method in the madness, which is to say, they need telling off. They've got absolutely no consequences to their lies and deceit that they tell here ever. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with Thunderfoot. It's just unfortunate for him it's landed on him when I've had this attitude change. Oh, right. So you're going to tell almost 1 million people that gas behaves like solid bonded bouncy balls? That's outrageous. No, you're going to get told off for that. Now, my version of telling it off is humiliation, like they use against us. Right? Now, I don't know how to wangle this, but in the same way they ultimately attack our finances, so in the case of Thunderfoot, attacks my patronage, it's like, well, let's attack your financial earnings then, you fraud. You're earning money from these YouTube videos by lying. That's fraud. Intentional deceit. Unless you're a spastic, but we haven't got that clarified from him yet. So it's just time to humiliate them. Lots of memes people sending me at the moment of him as a clown. Well, good. You need to be humiliated for your abject stupidity, and so do all the people who come here who lie through their back teeth half the time. So yeah, we're going to start absolutely humiliating you, as that's the tool of choice. It's certainly turning out that their tools to ridicule us are actually weaknesses in their arguments. Well,
this is how you treat children.
Yeah, that's how we'll have to treat children. Yeah, exactly. We have to treat them like
you humiliate children. Lovely.
No, humiliate globeheads.
We're going to humiliate you.
Globeheads, not children.
And those like you.
You're behaving like children. And we're asking for humility when
wrong. All right with that, guy? Or you got actual proof that we live on a magical spinning ball in a vacuum?
No, he's turned what he's done, Chocolate. Right? He's turned it into an ad hominem attack. So he's now going to spin this round because of their total lack of humility and us detailing how they need to be told off for being wrong and lying and all the rest of it. That's being turned into an ad hominem attack like I abuse children. Correct? I'm talking to the cunt in Discord who's about to get a tongue lashing. Oi, cunt! Was that turning what I said round into an implication that I abuse my children? You cunt.
You don't?
So you are literally going to reaffirm your ad hominem attack on me? You low scum cunt. You're going to turn this into an attack on my children because you have no humility. Right? Do it third time, cunt. Oi! Are you deaf? I'm giving you an order. Use your fallacious logic a third time. Turn this into an ad hominem against me. I'm telling you to. I'm giving the orders. Me, the flat earther, is giving a cunt an order to use his fallacious logic a third time in a row. What I'm getting is silence from a naughty little child getting told off in stunned silence. Right? You are all bastards. You will turn an argument about the nature of reality and a failure to display humility into me abusing my children. You scum. You are the lowest of the low. The lowest humanity has to offer. You're more than happy to turn an argument about philosophical viewpoints on stars into me abusing my children. You are the lowest scum the world has to offer. That's what we deal with here. For the audience, we deal with the lowest dregs of society. That's the level they will sink to. Yeah? We were talking about it on the show, how Craig Fight the Flat Earth did it. We didn't expect the live example from this cunt. That's you. I'm talking to you. Cunt. That's what you will be called. What is your name so you can forever be known as cunt? What's your name?
Step up and
I'm talking to the coward who used a logical fallacy to imply I abuse children. What is your name?
It's cunt.
Yeah, you're damn right it is.
It is now.
This is what we deal with, and this is why they need to be told off. That behaviour, what that gentleman has just done, is scummy. Not just fallacious, which it absolutely is. He's turned the argument into an ad hominem attack. But at the lowest of scummy levels he could possibly pick. Yet that's what we have to endure as flat earthers. Right? No, it's absolutely unacceptable. Yeah, to use a fallacy, but the most scummy type of fallacy. Attack a man's family because he's debunking your ideas of having a bloody sky vacuum. So that's what you've got to use in rebuttal. It's just scummy.
Yeah, they just attack your parenting skills.
And don't even got the
because
balls
they
to
don't
get
have any
back on the
humility.
mic. Sorry, Brian.
No hassles.
Yeah, I want
I'm just
this guy
saying
back on.
They
Get
attack
back on.
Nathan's,
Who is he?
parenting skills because they can't beat the arguments that Nathan puts forward. They don't have humility. If they had humility, they wouldn't be getting a tongue lashing all the time. But instead, because they can't do that, people like this guy comes in and attacks Nathan's parenting skills.
And then runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't tolerate the actual telling off.
Has no response.
Coward.
Yeah, just runs away. Exactly. No rebuttal to the argument, ad hom, attack the man's family, and then run away when they get shouted at for their disgusting behaviour. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's rather heated after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!